Okie dokie. Give people a minute or two to come streaming in here. Hopefully, my neighbor cooperates and doesn't decide to start doing some lawn work or construction or whatever the heck it was last week that they were doing. That was rather annoying. I don't have the studio to myself today. Usually, my wife is at the physical office on Tuesdays, but today is home, so hopefully there won't be too much crosstalk from there either. And doing a little studio reorganizing, so you can see that on the desk behind me. Some of the stuff that I'm making videos about, made videos about, will reorganizing, moving things around, charging things up, etc. I don't know if everybody saw my video on the new Shure USB-C microphone. This is the little brother to the one that I'm currently using now, but honestly, it sounds basically the same. So if you're out in the market for a new microphone, this is the the MV6, and definitely recommend that. And if you want the full review on that, go and check out my channel. I believe it's the last video that I put out here, and it does have an affiliate link in it. So if you are interested in making a purchase, I would appreciate if you hit that link for me, so that I can get a little bit of extra revenue here to help support the channel. All right, I think that's been enough just rambling. It's 10:05 here, a little bit of a late start-ish. Let's move these things around here so that I can have all of my windows lined up accordingly. Let's get started. Welcome back to Tech for Work, where I discuss things I found interesting in tech for business world. This week, my name is Jesse Nolan. I'm your host. I'm the founder of Tab Geeks. Huge show, lots of things going on. Mentioned in the pre-show here a bit. Amazon is doing their Prime Big Deal days right now. So if you were interested in anything from Amazon, definitely take a look and check to see if they are doing a sale on it today, because there's millions of things on sale. Always a good time to stock up on things like tech stuff, monitors, accessories, storage, peripherals, keyboards, mice, microphones, webcams. All that stuff generally tends to be on sale, and I like to go and stock up when they do these big deal days. So, alrighty, let's jump right into it here. A whole bunch of news. Let me bring up the article here so that I can share my screen with all of you. And this is from the Wall Street Journal, and this is something that I found very interesting. Is the article is called "The Art of the Deal," and essentially talks about Dish Network is being sold to DirecTV, but also DirecTV is making moves, and essentially. Um, this is where the world of technology and business really collide and get crazy, is when you have these ridiculous deals like this that happen that completely disrupt sectors and have been made in the past that rely upon deals from other companies. And what I'm talking about here is essentially Dish TV is which includes Sling, which, if you remember previously, was the streaming one of the early streaming services. And was, if I remember correctly, I think they were also the ones that were doing the television radio antennas built into servers that they were streaming over the internet, and then they went legit. But essentially, Dish, which includes Sling, is being sold to DirecTV for $1. This is interesting because it's not actually $1; it's $10 billion in debt. As well as fresh financing, and EchoStar, being the parent company of Dish, will avoid a potential bankruptcy. One of the things that is interesting about this is the fact that when when T-Mobile and Sprint merged, the government said, okay, but then that's going to be too much of a monopoly, so what are we going to do about this? And they proposed that Dish would, which had already been buying a lot of licenses for the cellular licenses that you need in order to operate a cell phone network. They had already been stockpiling them, and they said, all right, well, Dish can start its own cell phone network, and actually took over Boost Mobile and was designed to be another major operator in the US. And it hasn't really amounted to much. And so that's one of the things that is interesting here, is like, okay, well, what's going to happen to the cellular space? Apparently, they are still very interested in doing that. essentially moving and focusing for EchoStar, which is essentially a satellite communications company, satellite streaming company, to adopt cellular, and maybe there's a media play there that they're going to be moving, trying to move some of their licensed content, such as what they would be previously doing over satellite networks for TVs, moving it to a more streaming approach could be an interesting setup there. But a very interesting article overall kind of talks about how they've been launching on satellites and sometimes on Chinese satellites, sometimes on government satellites, and essentially just trying to build out this business that just keeps getting hammered over the years. And now is spinning off or being sold off in an effort to save the company. But what's going to happen down the line from as far as DirecTV and Dish is concerned is going to be interesting, because DirecTV also has a bit of a bumpy history. DirecTV was bought by AT&T a while back, and then AT&T merged a whole bunch of their systems and their logins with DirecTV, and that was a bit of a cluster. And I still have a couple of accounts on DirecTV that are logging with AT&T, even though AT&T spun off the company. I don't remember exactly how all that went down, but it was not very clean. So anyway, interesting article if you're interested in the business behind satellites and television and streaming and cellular, and kind of how all that plays together, and the art of this deal, which is what the article is about. This is a Wall Street Journal article, so normally it is a behind a paywall and you have a subscription, but I will leave a link to the free article in the show notes. All right, next interesting topic, which is also specifically business and technology, is that nuclear is back. So essentially what's happening here is AI and data centers running AI systems in general has realized that they have a serious need for power. And essentially what's happening is that Microsoft and Amazon and possibly Google are all cozying up, as it says here in the headline, to purchase or partner with nuclear power centers. And what brought this article on is that Microsoft has actually partnered with a company called Constellation Energy, which operates a lot of nuclear power plants. Microsoft bought 3 Mile Island, the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant, and they are working on restarting it and getting it up and running again so that they can power their data center. And I think this is very interesting because, well, first of all, I love nuclear power. I think it's incredibly efficient, clean, capable. Yes, there were some issues with it, but we've come a long way in terms of safety and standards and compliance in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And they're even getting to the point where they have nuclear power has been developed into a much smaller system that doesn't need to be a whole massive 3 Mile Island setup where you've got cooling towers and the likes. You can do smaller modular systems, and that's what Google is looking at doing. Google has a lot of licensing agreements with offshore wind farms as well as with other power manufacturers around the world. Back in, I believe it was 2010, Google actually got the license to buy and sell power in the US at market rates, and I don't know if that's still active, the license, but I imagine it probably is. It probably is a big part of how they're doing all of their green credits and things like that. And I would imagine that Amazon and Amazon with AWS as well as Microsoft and Azure also have similar agreements in place. But essentially, you need a crap load of power in order to run all of the computers that make all of our wonderful technology work. And the interesting thing here is that this is this is moving in a direction where the government hasn't really been going in, but the commercial market, similarly to what we're seeing happening in the space market, is that you are seeing companies that need this way more than the government does, because they simply don't have the power capacity, and they are turning to other commercial units in order to bring this back online in a way that is feasible and doable. So as far as 3 Mile Island is concerned, the plan is to revive the plant by 2028. We'll see if they hit that deadline. Not optimistic, but who knows? Now that it's commercial and not government, maybe it'll move faster. That being said, they still obviously have to be compliant with government regulations, so that's going to be interesting. Another point here is that AWS purchased a data center powered by, and I'm going to butcher this name here, Susquehanna Nuclear Power Plant in Pennsylvania. It was a $650 million deal, and it's the sixth largest nuclear facility in the U.S. Now, it's not taking all of their power, but it is taking a considerable amount of it. Google, on the other hand, as I mentioned before, has made various deals with offshore wind farms and projects similar to that, such as solar fields and so on, for the entirety of their energy production. We'll see if Google gets into the large nuclear plant, game that they're doing here. But it is mentioned in this article that Google is also looking at advanced reactors that are 1/10 to 1/4 the size of the much larger, older standard ones. And their size and modular design is supposed to make them easier and cheaper to build. So very interesting. I know years ago, back in the 60s or 70s, there was a story, which you can look up if you're interested in learning more about it. But Kodak actually had a nuclear reactor in one of their plants in Brooklyn. It was just in the basement there. And that's a whole fascinating story in and of itself of how they became top secret certified so that they would be notified when the U.S. government was doing nuclear tests, because another one of their facilities was detecting the radiation blasts because the film that they were producing in that factory was getting irradiated and ruined, and they were able to isolate to which batches and when those tests were occurring, just based on which which film batches were getting ruined as they were coming off the assembly line, to the point where they were able to get, I think it was 4 or 5 people in the country that had advance notice of a test, that they were able to be told that this was happening, shut down their manufacturing facility until the test was over, and spin it back up afterwards so they wouldn't lose all of that stock that they had made during that test. So very interesting history with nuclear and Kodak. If you're interested, go and look that up. I think there's probably a book about that. And if that's the case, I should probably buy it, because they were an interesting company back in the day. But nuclear isn't new. Nuclear is just back, and I'm all for it. So that's over on The Verge. I, of course, include links to all of these in the show notes, which I'll drop down below after the show. They're not there during the show because I'm still using them, and oftentimes I'll actually go back and re-listen to the show because of the fact that I go on tangents sometimes and remember things like Kodak having nuclear power in Brooklyn in the 70s that I didn't put in the show notes. So I gotta go remember to look for a link to that. All right, now let's talk about disaster tech. I don't have anything to show up on the screen here, but a couple of things are going on. One, there's a Category 5 for hurricane that is currently building up in the ocean, headed directly for Florida. This is called Hurricane Milton, and it is the 5th largest hurricane I think we've ever seen. I don't know, it keeps changing, but essentially it's likely to be one of the worst storms that has ever hit Florida. And this, of course, follows up after Helene, that slammed into, well, a lot of the southern eastern seaboard there. And what we're seeing from there is that a lot of assistance is coming from individuals and organizations that are down there with generators, gas generators, just traditional buy them at Home Depot gas generators, as well as electric batteries, such as from Anchor, and solar panels that go along with them to recharge them, and Starlink to the rescue. I've talked a lot about Starlink here before. I have currently one of the largest videos on the Starlink Mini, and the Starlink Mini, it turns out, is one of the heroes of the show out there because, to quote the ITDRC, which is a wonderful nonprofit that goes into disaster zones and helps out to set up networks and technology to assist those who need relief in those areas. Their motto, I believe, is calm is aid, or comms is aid, communications is aid. And this is true because everything we do these days relies on communications. Number one, mental health, contacting your family, letting them know that you're alive. Number two, contacting the agencies that have access to funds such as FEMA, the Red Cross, and the tons and tons of nonprofits that are out there that go in and provide relief in these areas. If you can get on their website and fill out a form, you're more likely to get service because they'll actually know where you are and how to find you and so on, as opposed to just trying to find them as they come in with their pallet of goods, and sometimes they run out and so on. So essentially, what you're able to do is you're first able to contact your family, let them know that you are alive. Secondly, you are able to get in touch with the organizations that you need help. And thirdly, you can get more information so that you know if there are other opportunities for assistance or if there are additional weather alerts or storms or things like that. And Starlink has been a huge factor of that. And to their credit, SpaceX and Elon, by extension, have been shipping out pallets and pallets of Starlink minis and traditional Starlink dishes, which they then use to power up whole networks of folks out there. Because obviously, with Wi-Fi, you can start a what do you call it? You can set up a Wi-Fi network, and it's not one-to-one. It's not like an individual cellular device. It's connected to anybody who connects to the Wi-Fi there. So huge shout out to Starlink and the SpaceX team for getting all that set up and running. Another interesting element of that is that folks are using the new Starlink T-Mobile satellite communications capabilities that are just like on the very cutting edge rolling out, to the point where Starlink actually got emergency government FCC approval in order to operate those satellites. And what that does is the satellites, the Starlink satellites in space, the newer ones anyway, are capable of broadcasting cellular signals down to a modern cell phone device, and utilizing that to send and receive low data, because not a huge amount of bandwidth at this point, but text messages, alerts, updates, and even theoretically phone calls, although I don't think they're turning that on at this time. And what they are doing is basically using that to operate the emergency broadcast system, to send out alerts to all of the phones in the area for folks that don't have access to the Starlink setup. And people are warning, folks in the tech community are warning right now that if you are in the path of Milton or a coming hurricane, that you need to immediately update your phones to the latest version of the operating system, because it's a software update a lot of times, and so you need to be able to have those features on your phone in order to be able to do the emergency satellite cellular connectivity for that. If you are interested in that, there's a lot of articles on how to do it, but you can actually take your phone outside. And I haven't tried it with Android yet, but I did try it with the iPhone. There is a test mode that you can put it in where you turn off your cellular data and your Wi-Fi, and you are able to see what that process looks like of connecting to satellites, and it walks you through moving around to make sure that you have a good connection, and then what you would do if you were in that situation to be able to use that service. So make sure, if you're in those path, charge all the batteries, make sure you've got water supplies. If you can, get the hell out. If not, hunker down, generators, batteries, backups, and update your damn phones so that you'll be able to utilize the emergency satellite communications on there. All right, moving on to some interesting new products. We've got a couple things going on here with Ubiquiti. Let me get this tab open here, and I will share my screen again. Couple of fascinating new products from Ubiquiti here. The DeviceBridge and DeviceBridge Pro. These were announced earlier this week or late last week. Essentially, you plug this in and you are able to wirelessly, you make something that is PoE only, that would normally only work with wireless. So this is able to connect to your Wi-Fi network, and it provides PoE power or Ethernet power to a camera or a computer or IoT device that you may be trying to connect but don't have the wiring to go to it. And it doesn't require a point-to-point dish. It just requires to be in range of your Wi-Fi network, which is, I think, fantastic. They're calling it a DeviceBridge plug-and-play wireless bridging PoE adapter. It has 1 gigabit Ethernet LAN port that can provide up to 15 watts of PoE of power, which is generally enough for one device of most things that you're doing, be it a camera or a display device, an IoT device, which is generally very, very low power. That being said, even at low power and even over Wi-Fi, if your signal is strong enough on the 5 gigahertz band, it can get up to 867 meg throughput. So, you're going to have those high speeds for whatever it is that you're trying to power, and you're going to be able to power the device with the single cable, just like you normally would if it was PoE from the rack. This is compatible, it says, with Unified Protect cameras, Talk phones, Talk being the Ubiquiti Talk phone service, and then basically anything else that has an Ethernet connection and is powered over Ethernet. So this is super cool. I definitely am hoping to get hands-on with this as soon as possible. I am going out of town next week, so we'll see when I'm able to do an unboxing if they send it to me. Hopefully they do send it to me. Also, these aren't even available for purchase until near the end of the month on October 25th. At that time, it will be $99. Now, extending from the DeviceBridge, they also have the DeviceBridge Pro, which is similar to the UBBs or over on the UISP side where you would have a point-to-point antenna. This is a 5 gigahertz wireless bridge with PoE output that can connect at up to over 5 kilometer distances, or, and this is how it's different from the UBB and the UISP stuff, it does, just like the DeviceBridge I spoke about a moment ago, can seamlessly uplink with Unify Wi-Fi. This has 2 gigabit Ethernet ports and 1 PoE output for PoE devices. It is powered using PoE and PoE Plus. It is weatherproof, which the previous one is not, which is great. And it is sold as a single unit. Note, it says here, cannot be set up as a standalone and must be managed by Unify Console, official Unify hosting, or self-hosted Unify network server, which I believe is different than how the UISP stuff is done. So this is a welcome, newer, updated device. The UBBs have been basically out of stock for a long time. Some people have been able to get them from time to time. I have used the UBBs pretty extensively at multiple locations. The UBB, for anybody who is watching on the stream, I will throw it up on here, is the building bridge. Comes in at $500 for a pair and works over the 60 gigahertz network, so is capable of 500 meter maximum range, which I believe is actually less than 5 kilometers. So 500, yeah. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on the metric conversion over there, but it does seem like this will have a much longer range, and this is going to be really, really useful to update the aging UBB line and to extend networks to places that don't have wires run. So I'm definitely going to be trying to get my hand on both of these units because that's going to be huge for a lot of my projects as well. One more thing that they rolled out here, and I don't have a lot of information on this because they put it on the website, but there was no video to go along with it or official announcements. This is the Mobile Router Ultra. Now, remember with Ubiquiti that the Ultra lineup is, well, different than Apple's Ultra lineup. It's the more affordable option, almost in the budget range. And so the Switch Ultras and the Access Point Ultras have all been much more affordable, oftentimes with lesser specs than the Ultra, sorry, not the Ultra, the Max or the Pro series. And that holds true in this case as well. This is a ultra compact managed LTE mobile router specifically designed for IoT applications, and it has integrated LTE, wired WAN, and Wi-Fi with automatic failover and DC power input support. So what they're doing here is, again, low data because it's LTE, and compared to the Mobile Router Industrial, which is the one that they released. They showed it off at the Mobile World Conference, and then they released it a short while ago, a couple of months or so ago. The Mobile Router Industrial is meant to be outdoors. It is rugged. It is solid. It does not work with Wi-Fi. The Mobile Router Ultra has no PoE out. The Ethernet ports are not gigabit. They're only full Ethernet, which is 10 over 100. Which means they can go up to 100 meg. The Ultra has automatic failover between LTE, wired, and Wi-Fi, which the Industrial does not. The Ultra is limited to LTE speeds of 150 down over 50 up. The Ultra has Wi-Fi 4, which again, not meant for high speeds there. The Ultra is not weatherproof, although it does come with 180 days of Ubiquiti's new mobility cloud free trial versus 30 days with the Industrial. I don't know if they're going to update the Industrial so that everything has the same time frame, 180 days. Or not, but right now, as far as I can see on the website, that's what it is for. This will be available for $129, so again, affordable, and will be available on October 15th. Now, I got really excited when I saw this because, once again, I really just want Ubiquiti to make a 5G unlocked cellular modem that's managed, that's easy for me to deploy, take with me, throw to my bag, etc. Right now, I'm using a Inseego, I think it is. Yeah, Inseego Wavemaker Pro FX3 100. Let's see if I can bring that up over here on the side. Yep. And this is a product that I got from T-Mobile that I'm using with the T-Mobile cellular network, and it provides Wi-Fi. Based off of a 5G signal. So essentially, as long as you have good 5G service, you're doing the same thing as you would when you hotspot your phone, but you're not using your phone. And it is, in my experience, oftentimes faster than using the phone. And it is dedicated, and you can have a whole bunch of people on it, up to 64 devices. So I would love for Ubiquiti to make something like this, because I have literally deployed this so that I could record or live stream or even upload my YouTube videos directly from my hotel rooms on the road, or use it with a bunch of other folks when we're all trying to work remotely and get stuff done. I just throw this up and plug it in, and it instantly connects to the cell network. And anybody who already has the password to the Wi-Fi network, it will, just like any other Wi-Fi network, you'll connect to it and you'll be able to use it. No configuration, no splash screen, etc. Now, I wish that Ubiquiti would make one that would not have any configuration, because it would already be configured, but would have a splash screen, would have the usual, benefits of a traditional Ubiquiti Wi-Fi network, possibly something along the lines of the Cloud Gateway Max, that would have a 5G modem installed, or something similar. I have also used this Inseego Wavemaker for construction sites and networks where I need internet and I want to be able to run cameras and network on the site, but there is no infrastructure there yet, and I'll be able to throw in a small rack of equipment and run some of those cabling, or even do point to point with the UBB, and light up a whole network without a whole lot of infrastructure, and use my backhaul connection to be cellular. There's other devices out there that allow you to do this as well, and I really, Ubiquiti keeps putting out these devices, the mobile routers, and they're not actually the mobile router that I want. So Ubiquiti, if you listen to my show, which cool, I love it. Please make a 5G mobile modem router, etc. I'd be very happy. All right, moving on from Ubiquiti onto a little bit of the education and library space. The FCC is granting $200 million to help schools and libraries secure their computers, which is, as somebody who has been in school and libraries, no small task. A lot of times these are loaded with all kinds of things, depending on how good the administration is and the IT staff is at the school. If there is an IT staff at the school, which is another problem altogether that I won't go into here. But essentially, it's a schools and libraries cybersecurity pilot program, and they're going to be using it to evaluate whether they can fund this program on a more permanent basis, and will be designed to pay for things like identity protection, advanced firewalls, authentication services, malware protection, VPNs. So if you are an MSP, you may want to reach out to other schools and say, hey, we can, through this pilot program, get funding for a lot of technology and help improve the infrastructure and security of schools. $200 million is not an enormous amount of money, but it is a huge amount of money, and especially to schools and nonprofits, or libraries rather, that are dealing with financial issues on the regular. So it's something I want to call out. Government programs can be a pain in the ass and come with all kinds of restrictions and issues and so on. But if you do manage to get through all the paperwork to be able to get money from the grant, it is often very worthwhile, and usually only available for first come, first serve. So if you're interested in this and you have some clients that are schools or libraries and they don't have very good infrastructure in the way of cybersecurity, you may want to share this with them. The funding is a response to increasing cyber attacks on educational institutions, with over 1,600 incidents identified between 2016 and 2022 by K-12 Security Information Exchange. And I looked at that number and I went, that's it? 1,600 incidents? That's all? Clearly, I don't know what they're defining as an incident there, but there's a lot more than 1,600 incidents happening since 2016, between 2016 and 2022. So that's a little bit, yeah. Definitely want to get update those numbers because I guarantee you it's in the millions and not the thousands. Okay, moving on. Microsoft Office. Remember that? I don't talk about Microsoft Office too often. However, they have released a standalone Mac and PC version of Microsoft Office. This is not something that comes very often. This is called Office 2024. This is for people that are not interested in paying for Microsoft 365 subscriptions. And what it does is it updates everything in the Office suite to be a lot more in line with those who are paying for Microsoft 365 subscription. There are, as always, two versions of this, a home version as well as a what do they call it here? Office Home, which does not include business licensing and Outlook. And then they also have for $100 more the Office Home and Business version, which includes the rights to use the apps for commercial purposes. A lot of companies I know just buy the Office Home because they're cheap, and especially on the small to medium size basis, they only want Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. Personally, I am a huge fan of everything Google and Google Workspace and all of the wonderful Google Workspace editors there. But if you're in a business that requires you to have Office or insists that you use Office or prefers to use Office, this is a good way to buy it once and you don't have to worry about monthly fees and licensing and all of that, or a consistent internet connection to use it. However, one thing to note is that you will need an internet connection to likely activate this when you buy it, which is traditional from the previous versions. There are a lot of updates in here as well. Some of them are using the internet, so you probably will want to have internet when you're doing it, but it won't be required for the use of it. Excel has new functions for handling text arrays and now has the ability to pull images from the web. So there's some more internet-based feature sets there. Excel also supports dynamic arrays and charts, which can now auto-update. Again, internet, etc. Okay, PowerPoint features like live camera feeds, aka Cameo in slides, a new recording studio, and accessibility options like closed captions and media files. Outlook has improved search capabilities and customizable gestures for Mac users. Word has better file recovery, thank God, and the ability to react to comments. It also supports Open Document Format, ODF 1.4. OneNote has enhanced inking and drawing tools for those who use OneNote. And the software is updated to use Microsoft's Fluent design principles, aligning visually with Windows 11, etc., etc., etc. The Office Home 2024 is $150, $149.99, and Office Home and Business, which is the one that adds Outlook and gives you the ability to use it in a business setting, is $249.99, aka $250. Continuing on the Microsoft train is some sad news about HoloLens. Pour one out for one of the OG, at the time, state-of-the-art augmented virtual reality systems. I tried one on in 2016 at Dell World, and it just blew my mind. The ability of what they were doing at the time with virtual reality was above and beyond anything else, but it was enormous. It was, next to an Oculus, insanely huge and heavy and ugly and funky and weird, but it was incredible what they were doing with the tech, the ability to go from virtual to augmented and back again, really just showed me the future of where virtual and augmented reality was going and has gone. Unfortunately, the market hasn't moved as fast as I would have liked or thought that it was going to, but I did attend the augmented reality conference out here in Long Beach, California a couple of months ago. I do need to do probably another video about that because I still have some footage that I haven't talked about from there. Showing off some of the things I saw there, but essentially the tech is really getting to a very good place. Last week we talked about some of the virtual reality headsets from Facebook, or aka Meta, as well as from Snap and their crazy, funny, futuristic, massive-looking goggles that that are able to do a lot of the things that Meta's glasses, Project Orion, can do, except that Snap's versions are shipping and Meta's are just proof of concept. But given the way that that market has moved and the new players in that space, Microsoft has decided that HoloLens was no longer worth investing in as part of HoloLens 2, and there is no replacement currently planned. There will be support, including security updates, continuing until the end of 2027. Now to the more interesting part of this. Microsoft has teamed up with a small company called Endural Industries. Now, if you haven't heard of them, this is a company that was started by a certain individual from Long Beach, California, named Palmer Luckey. Palmer started a company called Oculus, which was bought by then Facebook, which became everything, the Meta Quest and Oculus Quest and all of those, and basically was the leader in the space. Anduril is the company that Palmer started when he left Meta, and it is a military tech company. He's essentially either Tony Stark or one of the villains in the Tony Stark movies, specifically thinking about Justin Hammer in the second Iron Man movie. I think Palmer is trying to not be as much of an a-hole as Justin Hammer was, or go down the path of evil like he did. However, they are making some insanely smart, insanely cool military weapons that integrate the latest in technology. And one of those, as he announced on stage at the augmented reality experience conference that I was at here in Long Beach a couple of months ago, was that he's working on a headset. And there was very little details. That was actually no other details. It was basically it. He was on stage and he said he's working on a new headset as part of his military company, and talked about a lot of the advanced tech that goes into it and what is available and so on. And now we're starting to see where that came from. He's apparently partnered with Microsoft, and the reason for that is because Microsoft has a big U.S. Army contract to provide mixed reality headsets to the Army for various projects, from training to operations and so on. They were using the HoloLens and the HoloLens 2 in trials with the Army in 2021 and 2019. And apparently they like where it's going, and the contract is still active, but now Microsoft is working together with Palmer and the Anduril company in order to make that a reality. I think that this is a space that we need to pay attention to, because this is, as Zuckerberg has famously said, the next what the hell was it? The next computing, the next stage in computing, something along those lines, where the next platform shift, where we got computers, we got the internet, we got mobile, and now we're going to be headed in the direction of virtual and augmented reality. And Anduril is incredibly high tech and very far ahead of the industry in many areas. And given that he literally, as a teenager, invented Oculus and single-handedly almost modernized the entire industry very far forward, I would be paying attention to anything that Palmer is doing around another headset, especially with military applications. Okay, that is all the news that I have on Microsoft. Let's head into the Google Workspace area. 1 second, I'm going to take a drink. That's the problem with doing this live, is I can't cut those pauses out, so you get to hear me drink while talking here. It occurs to me I haven't checked any of the comment feeds. I apologize. Seems like everybody's quiet. If you are watching this live, and if you're watching this, actually, even if you're not watching it live, you're watching a recap of this, do me a favor and drop in the comments what you would like to see from the show. Do you like the format? Do you like where it's going? We're getting approximately 200 listeners a week at this point, so keep it up. Thank you for listening. Appreciate each and every one of you. If you're not subscribed, hit the like and subscribe button on the channel. YouTube tells me to say that. It helps, apparently. People need to be told what to do. But this is a new show, and I'm experimenting with it. And, this is, a little bit long sometimes. Sometimes it'll be shorter. Depends on the week. But let me know. Drop it in the comments, please, what you would like to see from here. If you like the format, if you like the news, if you want different news, if you want more enterprise-focused news, if you want more, smart tech, smart home type stuff, whatever, let me know. I'm interested in hearing all of it. All right, onward to Google Workspace. Certifications, folks, pay attention. There is change afoot. with the Google Workspace Professional Administrator certification, it will be going away come the end of the year. And there's a new associate certification, and there's a beta for said certification that is available now, which you are able to get in early, take the certification, and give early feedback, which is always cool. The beta tests often come with some extra special beta swag for as thanks for your participation. So I don't know if they're doing that this time, but swag is always appreciated. I will leave a link to this in the show notes. But this is going to be the Associate Google Workspace Administrator test, or certification rather, and it is currently in beta. And it will be easier than the professional version, as you would expect. And how this is going to be working and impacted by and with the partner requirements is still going to be defined. I was actually on a call with them earlier this morning discussing that, and I will be working with the team to get more information and probably doing a video breaking this down specifically when I get cleared for everything that I'm allowed to talk about outside of the NDA. But for now, what I can talk about is, and this is live right now, in the Google Cloud Console, you can see the information on the certification. It assesses your ability to manage user accounts and objects, easy. Support data governance and compliance, important. Manage endpoints. Manage core workspace services, core being Gmail, the editors, Gemini, and Vids now entering into the core services. So expect to highlight on Gemini as well. Manage security policies and access controls, and the ability to troubleshoot common issues. So if you are looking to get into workspace administration, or you are looking to prove your capabilities as a young workspace administrator, or somebody who has experience doing this, but this isn't your specialty, this is probably the certification for you. It is going to be simpler than the professional one, less in depth. And it's always good to get certifications just to show the world that you know what you're actually talking about, that you're not full of it. Why beta? It asks on here. One, you'll get the exam before anybody else. You also save 40% on the cost of certification. You can use vouchers for the beta exam attempts if you have them. And the attempts do not count toward the total number of allowable exam attempts. So if you fail, you can just take it again and again and again and again and again and again. The length of the exam is 2.5 hours, costs $75, which is a 40% discount from the retail price of $125 plus tax. And it is going to be in English. There are 0 prerequisites. You do have to take it one of two ways, either via online proctored exam from a remote location or an on-site proctored exam at a testing center. The recommended experience for this is 6 months of Google Workspace Super Admin experience in a real or test environment, and hands-on experience with Business Plus Edition and knowledge of Enterprise Edition features and functionality are recommended. There is an exam guide, which is down in the links below, as well as on the side here where it says exam guide, as well as sample questions, which is a Google form that you can work your way through if you are curious how that is going to look before actually taking it. And there is some links here for training for the exam, and there is a Google Cloud Skills Boost Google Workspace Administrator Learning Path. And this was updated in the last 4 months, so the content on it is going to be relatively recent and updated for all the changes we've been seeing lately. There's looks like 7 chapters of this. 1, preparing for your Google Workspace Administrator journey. 2, introduction to Google Workspace Administration. 3, managing Google Workspace. 4, Google Workspace Security. 5, Google Workspace Mail Management. Whole course agenda item for that. And 6, planning for a Google Workspace deployment, as well as 7, change management for Google Workspace, which is always important when dealing with folks who don't like to move over. So definitely recommend going through this. I think I might just go through it for funsies just to see what's in there and stay up to date and to say that I could. And I probably should have been sharing this tab instead, so I apologize as I look through this, but this is over on the Google Cloud Skills Boost, and I will leave a link to this in the show notes down below also. What else was I going to say about this? Checking the notes. Nothing. All right, moving on. Chrome OS devices. As I mentioned last week, I believe it was, Google announced two Chromebooks. One is the higher-end Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus, which is $699. It is super thin, super light, has a 15.6-inch OLED display, and will be powered by an Intel i3. Also, the Lenovo more affordable option is the Chromebook Duet 11. Starts at $340 and US, and is a detachable tablet with a 10.9-inch touchscreen, which is geared towards portability and light tasks. Both are available this month. With the Duet, think similar to the Microsoft Surface, where it is detachable, and there are some better images of the kickstand, which I was talking about last time, which I will share on the screen in a moment. Here we go. Share. There we go. So you've got this kind of fold-out kickstand that has a angled stand on the bottom that will work for both landscape and portrait orientations, and the keyboard is detachable, similar to the Microsoft Surface or the previous Duets. It's a solid unit. I am hopefully going to have hands-on with this and video review in the next 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, depending on when I get full hands-on with it. The Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus, to show you some images here that The Verge was able to capture at an event they had recently, which I wasn't able to attend, but I will be at the next one, is showing off the 15-inch Samsung unit, and it's gorgeous. It really is. 15-inch is a little bit big for my preferences. I like the 14-inch of the MacBook Pro 14. I like the 13-inch of the HP, I think it's the Elite, and the 14-inch of the Pro, the HP Dragonfly Elite and Pro, although I think they canceled the Pro, and now it's only going to be the Elite. I am looking into it and trying to get more information on that for all of you as well, because I really loved those two units. I thought they were fantastic. They are a year or two old now at this point. But it seems that Samsung is stepping up and filling the void with the Galaxy Chromebook Plus. And honestly, for $699 with an Intel Core i3, if it's good enough, maybe. We'll see. I'll definitely put it through its paces. The new processors have a lot of capabilities in them. And obviously, there's been a lot of advancements made as we are in the AI era here, and power all of the AI features that are coming to this, hopefully will be worthwhile. That being said, it's still only 8 gig of RAM, and generally I recommend an i5 and 16 gig of RAM, or at the very least an i3 with 16 gig of RAM, because we run a lot of applications, web apps, tabs that uses a lot of RAM. So I really feel that we need to not be skimping on the RAM in these units, crank it all the way up, and more RAM, more better, please, if you will. All right. That's going to be it for this week. I'm not going to go into the workspace updates. I think we can save them for next week. A couple of interesting updates there. But this show has been long enough, 47 minutes. I'm trying to keep it 45 or under. So I will wrap this up here. I will be doing a show next week, probably going to be a little bit shorter, given that I've got a lot going on. I'm going to be traveling next week. Flying out to Texas and then New York the following week. So lots going on. Stay tuned. Thank you for listening. And again, please like and subscribe. Drop your comments down below and let me know what you want to see from the show. As I mentioned in the middle there, it's very important to me that this is successful, and I'm going to keep experimenting. And as long as the numbers keep climbing, then I'll know that something is working. But if you tell me what you want, then I'll know exactly what's working. And I appreciate you listening and coming back each week to my show, Tech for Work. So have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time.